So, thank you. Alligator is a Swedish clinical stage immuno-oncology company. And that essentially means we are doing the same thing as everyone else. We are developing therapeutic antibodies, activating the immune system towards cancer. The one difference is that all our products are developed to induce a strong immune activation in the tumors, but not elsewhere in the body. And the point is, of course, to focus the immune attack towards the tumors and reduce systemic side effects. This is called tumor-directed immunotherapy, and it's an area pioneered by Alligator. We have 5 products today, from preclinical to clinical development, all with the first and best-in-class potential. And the quality of our products has been validated through a major out-licensing deal with Johnson & Johnson worth $700 million. Based on that front of that deal and the first milestones, we have a very healthy cash position as well. Money in the bank to take the company more than 2 years from today. And our business model is to develop our products within tumor-directed immunotherapy from ID all the way to clinical assessment in patients. And what's slightly unique about Alligator is that we have already delivered on this model. So let's take a look at the deal with Johnson & Johnson. We have a deal of $700 million. We have received $46 million to date, upfront and first milestone payments. And it's an excellent structure of the deal, more than $350 million in development and registration milestones, and the rest as sales-based milestones. On top of this, we have tier royalties in the range of 10% royalty on all potential future sales, starting below and ending above 10%. Plus, they take all costs for the development. So this is a fantastic deal for an early phase 1 asset. We have today completed 1 clinical trial, a phase 1 trial, demonstrating that we well tolerated at clinically relevant dose levels, and that trial was completed by Alligator. Then Johnson & Johnson, or Janssen Biotech, which is a Johnson & Johnson company, has started another phase 1 trial. They've expanded it to systemic administration. That trial has today included more than 80 patients, and they are about to select a dose for the next stage, which is combination with the PD-1 blockers, other immuno-oncology products. And I just mentioned that Janssen takes all further clinical development and they take all further costs. So let's look at the competition here. We are not alone, it's a significant competition, but we are at the front and we have a very strong partner, Janssen Biotech of Johnson & Johnson. Also, we have a strong preclinical evidence that we have a potential for a best-in-class profile. Based on the fact that we developed this for tumor-directed immunotherapy, we seem to have a very good tolerability profile, and that will allow dosing at clinically relevant dose levels, which has been the issue with CD40 agonistic antibodies. So we're at the front, and with a strong partner and a very good profile. Now, Johnson & Johnson will take all costs, so we can focus our resources and our time on the next clinical asset, which is a very important asset, ATOR-1015. What we have developed here is a completely new concept. We are first in the world with a tumor-localizing CTLA-4 antibody. And why that's important is because a CTLA-4 is a clinically validated target, but it's limited by toxicity. And it's also a combination therapy in one product. We have fused OX40 immune-activating antibody with a CTLA-4 blocking product into a bispecific antibody with dual effects, all with the purpose of generating superior efficacy. And we can do that by activating both the T effector cells, the main tool of the immune system, and also suppressing the regulatory T cells. So, in other words, we can step on the gas and release the brakes at the same time with this molecule. But that's not all. We are actually hoping to get a better effect than combining OX40 and CTLA-4 at the same time. And we can do that by not only activating both pathways, but also we can bring them together, creating a physical bridge between the two receptors, between cells carrying those receptors, increasing immune cell crosstalk. And it works. Let's look at this. It's a great example. Here is a key mechanism of action, which is suppressing the regulatory T cells. We can look at the blue line, which is a maximum effect you can get achieved by combining OX40 and CTLA-4 antibodies at the same time. But 1015 carrying those two targets has a fourfold better efficacy. Now, let's have a look at CTLA-4. I say it's a clinically validated target. Yervoy, the first immuno-oncology product to be approved, was approved in 2011. It was soon followed, it is the orange color here, it was soon followed by the PD-1 blockers. They had even stronger activity, plus they were better tolerated. So it's been a huge success. PD-1 blockers will sell, this last year they sold for more than $10 billion, whereas CTLA-4 in the range of $1.2 billion. And they will continue to increase up to about $40 billion within 5-6 years. Yervoy will not continue to increase in that. It will increase a bit, but not at all that much. And there is one key explanation. It's very toxic. So then you will ask yourself, why would we take the trouble to develop another CTLA-4 blocker, a stronger CTLA-4 blocker? It will just cause more problems. Well, we have a beautiful solution here. This is a tumor-directed immunotherapy. It's a tumor-localizing CTLA-4 antibody with stronger efficacy. And let's take a look at the data. Here is a key result. We look at the immune activation in the tumors. If there's no therapy, there's very low immune activity. We can increase immune activation through OX40 antibodies, by CTLA-4 antibodies. But as you can see, again, 1015 is far more potent. But what's really important here is that this effect is exclusive for the tumor. In other parts of the body, the immune system is not affected whatsoever. So here it seems we can provide superior efficacy with the potential to avoid the systemic toxicity. Let's go back to the sales of Yervoy. Last year, it sold basically only in melanoma, $1.2 billion. It's a quite small population, 25,000 patients, and only 1 out of 4 patients take the drug, despite the fact that they know they will have a better chance to survive if they took it. And that's because of the toxicity. Last year, it was also approved in lung cancer. It's a 10 times larger population. Still, it will be a bit limited by toxicity. Sales will increase, but we don't know how much. Now, 1015, we have a potential both for superior efficacy, but notably superior tolerability. And of course, if we can show that, we have an increased market size and also better penetration. And what's really good for a product coming up for clinical development is responder populations have been identified through the development of CTLA-4 the last 8 years. We know it's effective in melanoma. We know it's effective now in lung cancer. It's also effective in colorectal cancer with high mutational burden. So we know where to study the product. And the studies have been started. We have started the first clinical trial in December last year. It's a first-in-human trial, intravenous administration, dose escalation from low doses to high doses, about 50 patients to be included, and the primary endpoint here is safety and tolerability. And in this case, it's really, really important because that will demonstrate our concept. This trial will have a safety readout second half of next year. But before that, we will actually initiate the phase 2 trials. As soon as we have a dose, which we expect to have in about 18 months, mid next year, we will start the phase 2 efficacy trials to demonstrate efficacy in combination with PD-1 in melanoma first, but in parallel, we will also initiate studies in lung cancer and in colorectal cancer with high mutational burden. So, just a short on our finances. I said we have a good cash position, and this will allow us to take the company forward, all our development, all our products, for more than 2 years. And on top of that, obviously, we hope to get more milestones for 1013, and also we have a number of products with potential in out-licensing income. So a summary of the products we have, 1013. Here we have a great partner. We have a unique target with CD40. We are at the front, and we have a potential with the best, we believe we have a best-in-class profile of the product. 1015 then just started clinical phase 1, and we are first in the world with a completely new concept here, a tumor-localizing CTLA-4 product. And if we can demonstrate the concept in our first clinical trials, this has a great blockbuster potential. Then we have 2 products coming up from behind, 1017 and 527. They will both close in on clinical trials this year. 1017 will start clinical trials, and we will submit for clinical trials for 527 this year. So by that, we are building a solid clinical pipeline within our niche of immuno-oncology, which is tumor-directed immunotherapy. Thank you.
Do we have time for a couple of questions?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's
go back?
step up. Yeah. And I'm going to join you here, so it's really crowded. So this all looks really impressive, of course. You have like you said, you have a solid pipeline. You have a partnership with a big pharma company, and you're building your pipeline quite strategically, it says. Being first in the world with something, that's not always a good thing, but in your case, you do have like it's a proven concept.
Yes,
so to speak.
and that's what makes it so much better, that CTLA-4, we know it should have efficacy. That's been clearly demonstrated. So it's mainly about demonstrating safety. Then we obviously need to confirm efficacy, but we know where to do it and what patients to do it. So it's a much, much more limited clinical development plan.
Yeah.
If you take another immuno-oncology target, any target, even our 4-1BB targets, no one knows where they are most effective. So you need to study much, much more broadly, and that's obviously much more expensive.
Also think it's really interesting that where your molecules, where they're coming from. You have an interesting platform technology.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
No, that's correct, and I didn't mention our technology platform today, but we are a technology-based company. We were founded on the technologies, and we have today a full technology platform. Every technology we need to generate the next generation bispecific immuno-oncology antibodies, and that's human antibody library. We can select any therapeutic antibody. We have a protein evolution technology, FIND, where we can optimize any property, and also we have actually today 2 bispecific formats. And maybe you're commenting on, we had a press release last week on a new bispecific format,
exactly.
Ruby, which where we can fuse any two antibodies into a bispecific antibody format.
And how common is that?
There are a number of such formats out there. The problem is with them is that they usually demand a lot of optimization. Well, you can fuse antibodies, anybody can do that, but the key is to fuse them and then have a developable product.
Oh, yeah.
It could take 1, 2, 3 years to make it developable, but with our format, we can cut that down and we don't need the secondary optimization. So it's a much, much faster process.
Sounds convenient. I should see, are there any questions in the audience as well? If not, then we are actually going to thank you, Per, for now. And you're free to grab Per at lunch. Let him eat, but if you have questions. We are going to take a short lunch break. So thank you very much, Per.
Thank you.